have just had a ton of caffeine, so we're gonna have fun today. I'm calling this one Harry Potter and the Atonement of the Father. So, you can see what I did there. It's clever. It's alright. So, reading the book, I really kind of fixated on Barty Crouch Jr. this time around, otherwise known as David Tennant, my king. So I thought his like whole journey with his own father was interesting, and then Harry also has some really interesting Atonement of the Fathers. So I wanted to talk about that specifically. So to give kind of just a lowdown on what Barty Crouch Jr.'s like relationship is, and it's gonna get really, I might just call it Barty Crouch and David Tennant just to make things easier. But Barty Crouch Jr., aka David Tennant, was a Death Eater, and he went to Azkaban claiming that he was innocent. Barty Crouch's wife, so Barty Crouch Jr.'s mother, convinced Barty Crouch to have her swap places with Barty Crouch Jr., so she kind of went to Azkaban and died in his place. But Barty Crouch Jr. had to stay under the Imperious Curse, which is like the controlling curse. So then Winky, the house elf, who's Barty Crouch's house elf, who's kind of Barty Crouch Jr.'s caretaker, said that Barty Crouch Jr. should go to the Quidditch World Cup, just because he liked Quidditch so much. And at the Quidditch World Cup is where Barty Crouch Jr. Shook off the Imperious Curse and sent the Dark Mark into the sky. So, from that moment, from the Quidditch World Cup forward, Barty Crouch Sr., so Barty Crouch Jr.'s dad, is under the Imperious Curse, because then the next thing that Barty Crouch Jr. does is to put his father under the Imperious Curse. Then Barty Crouch Jr. is like all cut up with this plan to help Voldemort get back to his original state. So he transforms into Mad-Eye Moody, and while he's Mad-Eye Moody, he still has his father under the Imperious Curse. So Barty Crouch Sr. is like business as usual. But towards, I want to say the middle of the year at Hogwarts, Barty Crouch Sr. begins to lose his mind, and he is like kind of throwing off the Imperious Curse, but it's like seriously messed with him. So Harry finds him in the Forbidden Forest, and he's like rambling, but he keeps saying that he needs to talk to Dumbledore. So Harry runs out of the forest to go find Dumbledore, and he runs into Mad-Eye Moody, aka Barty Crouch Jr. Tells him that Barty Crouch is in the forest, and then that gives Barty Crouch Jr. the chance to go out and find his father and kill him. So, it's all very tragic. Barty Crouch Sr. was the one that sentenced Barty Crouch Jr. to Azkaban in the first place. And it's really a series of unfortunate events. So that is, if we're gonna like follow along with Barty Crouch Jr.'s hero's journey, that is his atonement with the father. And then Harry has a couple of different atonement of the fathers. I count 3. So the first one is, if we're gonna put it in, he has like 2 negative ones and 1 positive one. So the positive one is when the Priory Incantatum happens at the graveyard after Voldemort has come back. And what happens is all of the previous victims of Voldemort's wand come out in like these kind of like ghostly shapes. And of course that eventually means Harry's mother and father come out. So Harry has the chance to take encouragement from his father in that case. He has more of like stronger atonement with the fathers in later books. His like official one, well, he's two, because he's the one with like his real father, and he was Dumbledore, but that's a whole other story. So then another, he has two negative ones. We'll keep talking about Voldemort. So since Harry has a piece of Voldemort in him, and it's kind of like shaped part of who he is, I think I can say that Harry's atonement with the Father could also be Voldemort, just because of how much Voldemort has shaped Harry's life. And it can almost kind of be flip-flopped, where it's like, because Harry helps bring Voldemort back. So, in that case, Harry is kind of Voldemort's father, which is weird to think about. Voldemort also has like a mini atonement of the Father, because, well, first he kills his father at the beginning of the book, but then he has like a mini one where he uses his father's ashes as a way of bringing him back. And then you have the atonement of the Father with Harry and Mad-Eye Moody, aka Barty Crouch Jr. Because all throughout the book, Barty Crouch Jr. has been kind of like a mentor to Harry, and then we find out, of course, it's because he's trying to get Harry alive through the Triwizard Tournament so that he can get to Voldemort. And so he kind of is like grooming him, and he's always like behind the scenes and like getting other people to help Harry, like inspiring them. So and then Harry obviously like gets attached to him and looks up to him. So then when Harry has a negative atonement with the Father when he discovers who Mad-Eye Moody really is. Later on in the series, Harry and the real Mad-Eye have like a real relationship, but that's kind of a whole another thing. One more thing I want to say about the Goblet of Fire, and specifically, is it's kind of the first steps of Harry's final hero's journey, and like the overarching like hero's journey in general starts in this book with the call to adventure being the return of Voldemort. Because ultimately, as we find out in book like 6 or 7, ultimately the purpose of Harry is to die so that he can kill the piece of Voldemort that is in him. So this story, the beginning of this with Voldemort coming back to life is the beginning of Harry's overarching journey. Yeah, that's all I have to say about it. I'm gonna talk about anything else. I'll just mention this really quickly. There is a lot of Greek myth elements in this book. My sister actually pointed it out, but the Rowling like took a lot of stuff from Greek mythology, and you can kind of really tell that in this book, especially because you have kind of the trials of Hercules, where you have like the different tasks that need to be done, and you have to use not only skill but smarts and strength and all that jazz. So Harry kind of mimics Hercules in this book. That's all I gotta say. Yeah, that's all I got. So I hope you guys have a great weekend, and this is the last vlog response, I think, right? So I guess I'll see you in my webinar. Bye!